Holy shit, I love Spider-Man PS4. Fair warning, this is gonna be heavy spoilers for the first game. I figured that was obvious, but I just want to be safe. But holy shit, I love Spider-Man PS4. This game gets Spider-Man. Peter's life is constantly beating down on him. Peter faces consequences for his actions. Octavius directly embodies the same mantra of responsibility in a way that's heartbreaking for the viewer to watch him turn into the monster that we know he'll become. And how Peter is forced to choose between saving the city and saving Aunt May, which is basically the reverse of One More Day, which I'll talk about that shit in another video, fucking trust me. This game represents all of the things that I love about this character. And fuck, I cannot make the whole video just to review the first game, because that's gonna take fucking forever, and I don't have time for that shit, and you don't want, everybody said everything, it's done. So I'm just gonna stop there. Just know I love this game. I've played it through like 6 times, and I absolutely adore it. I cannot wait for the sequel, and what they've teased so far is oozing with narrative potential. Literally oozing. That was a joke. That was a funny joke. I'm pretty proud of the joke, actually. So I decided I wanted to take that potential and ruin it with all my dumb, stupid ideas. I normally don't like to do these prediction videos, but we've got a lot of time. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, because if they don't do something that I think would be cool, I will be upset. But fuck it, whatever. I like some of these ideas. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the gameplay. I'm not a game designer by any means, but I do watch Game Maker's Toolkit by Mark Brown, so I'm basically a pro. The main focus of this game, ideally, is going to be that Miles Morales is now playable. The first thing you do in the game is make a choice between playing as Peter or as Miles. This can be done in 2 ways. It can be done in a couch co-op or an online co-op setting, or in single player, you can switch between the two by holding down on the D-pad. They both play a little bit differently too. Peter's better in a fight with air combos and combat gadgets and just overall stronger hits. He swings faster and he has a charged jump. Miles, on the other hand, he's not as experienced, he's not as adept as Peter is. So in a fight, he doesn't have as many aerial options or gadgets, but he is faster on the ground. His focus bar charges faster for takedowns with his Venom Strike, or he has the option to turn invisible during a stealth sequence. He also has a double jump and can climb up his web like an Ultimate Spider-Man. That was just my ideas for gameplay. They could add other shit, I don't even fucking know. They don't even have to play that differently. Who cares? But let's get going. I have no idea on the title, but we're not calling it Spider-Man 2 because we have enough trouble with that as it is. It's so fucking complicated. This game's story is going to be split into 2 major parts. Just like how in the first game, the first half was about Mr. Negative and the second half was about the Sinister Six. This story is going to follow that same formula. The first half of the story is going to focus on Kraven the Hunter versus the Lizard, and the second will focus on Venom and the Goblin. Arguably the best part about the first game was the relationship between Otto Octavius and Peter, and the mentorship between them. In the sequel, I want to double down on the idea of mentorship and how it affects Peter and Miles. At the start, things are going great. Peter's just beginning to take Miles under his wing, and his relationship with MJ is going well. And he gets a new job working as a teaching assistant to his old college professor, Dr. Kurt Connors. Dr. Connors has already been the Lizard once before, when Peter was just starting out as Spider-Man, but the public doesn't know about it. It was kept secret, it happened underground, all that shit. Peter's doing his best to not repeat the same mistakes with Connors that he did with Otto. He's also trying to live up to Miles' expectation of him. Miles, on the other hand, his life's going pretty good too. Still misses his dad, he's still sad about it, but he's living up to his memory by being Spider-Man and helping people. And he also has a new girlfriend, Gwen Stacy. We'll get to that. Don't worry, we will get to that. Never mind, fuck it, we'll do it now. So Gwen Stacy, as we all know, she's gotta die. I think incorporating Gwen Stacy is as Miles' girlfriend instead of Peter's old girlfriend is a better fit for this universe, because as Peter is right now, it doesn't really feel like if he were to lose Gwen at this state of his life, it wouldn't feel as impactful. It feels like he's too far along in his career to have that happen to him. So I think giving that opportunity to Miles and having Miles grow that way, that would be a much stronger experience, you know? So it turns out that Connors is secretly working with Norman Osborn to help develop a cure for Harry's disease. The Devil's Breath outbreak killed Connors' wife, and the vaccine didn't work properly for him and his son, making them both terminally ill. Connors is hoping that whatever cures Harry's ailment can cure them too. But Osborn is fixated on this idea of this experimental treatment that he's been giving Harry. Connors doesn't know where this symbiote came from, but Harry's vitals aren't stabilizing fast enough for Connors to be comfortable, so he uses a modified version of his classic lizard formula to try and create a cure. Osborn figures that the symbiote will work, it has to work, but it just needs more properties to fully heal Harry instead of just keeping him stable. He decides that the best course of action is to allow the symbiote to bond with Spider-Man and infuse with his DNA, and then take it back and use it to cure Harry. Osborn sets a trap for Peter, hiring some supervillains like Sandman and Mysterio to stage a robbery at Oscorp, allowing Peter to come into contact with the symbiote and bond with it. On the note of Mysterio, I think it'd be cool to have a lady Mysterio because they kind of implied that, like have Mysterio be a woman. It'd be cool, you know, make it different, sort of like Doc Ock in Spider-Verse. That'd be cool. Anyway, now, none of you are asking this, but I'm gonna address it anyway. If Peter has a black suit, How will the black suit work in cutscenes if you can choose whatever suit you're wearing, like in the first game? Wouldn't it be strange for someone to address the suit when he's not wearing it? Good question, thanks for asking it, I really appreciate that. I think there shouldn't be a black suit. I think that every suit that Insomniac makes for this game should have a symbiote shader, which turns any suit into a symbiote version of itself. So if you're wearing the Raimi suit, you get the black Raimi suit. If you're wearing potentially the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit, you get a symbiote version of that. And if you're wearing the advanced suit, you get a symbiote version of that, etc. You know, this allows for freedom with the suit choice in the story, but it also doesn't have classic red and blue Spidey fucking killing people. He's not killing people, you know what I'm saying? He's not being a huge asshole. Connors develops what he believes to be his cure, and he tests this version on himself like a fucking idiot. And what do you know? It works! Buddy turns into a giant lizard, and it's worse than before. He's much bigger. He's much bigger boss fight. Whoa, who knew? Who would have expected that? Huh, who crazy, right? This version of the lizard is sort of like a werewolf, actually. So every few days, Connors will transform into the lizard and wreak havoc. So Connors goes into hiding, forcing Peter and Miles to locate him before he transforms and hurts any more people. That's the way you could kind of incorporate the character of Kirk Connors a little bit more, instead of him just being big monster lizard guy. Which of course the lizard has some intelligence, but I think there's a bit more emotional weight when it's Connors talking. Meanwhile, 7,500 miles away, world-famous hunter Sergei Kravinov hears word of this new lizard creature, and he decides he wants to travel to New York to hunt and kill it. So now it becomes a race to protect Connors from Kraven, while also keeping the lizard from hurting innocent people. All the while, Peter is feeling the effects of the symbiote affecting his personality. And that means being more violent in fights, being fucking an asshole to MJ and Miles, all that shit. You know how the symbiote works.
You got any more nuts?
I have some nuts I could make some.
Go make me some.
So, everything comes to a head when Peter and Miles find Connors and face off against Kraven. After beating Kraven, Peter's anger begins to consume him. He starts to pound away at Kraven's face, making it all bloody. He beats him almost to a pulp. Miles pushes Peter off of him, warning him to stay back. Camera then pulls back, allowing you to choose who you play as in a boss fight between Peter and Miles. If you play as Miles and you lose the fight, it's the same outcome as if you're Peter and you win the fight, and vice versa. Either case leads to a cutscene where Peter looks into Miles' eyes and sees that he's become a monster. Peter runs off, and we get a sequence where he fights off the suit, similar to how it was done in the Spectacular Spider-Man, mixed with the scorpion scenes from the first game. After battling the symbiote, he rips off the suit and is finally free from its grasp. Osborn sends a team to recover the symbiote. It's brought to Oscorp to be bonded with Harry. The symbiote covers Harry's whole body, turning his teeth jagged and his eyes white. Venom screeches and breaks through the glass tank, holding Norman by the throat. Harry and the symbiote aren't a perfect match, so Venom has complete control of Harry's body, just using him as a vessel. Venom, furious at Peter for abandoning him, makes a deal with Norman. He says that if Norman helps him destroy Peter's life, he'll cure Harry's illness and move to a different host. Osborn, with no other options or else risk killing Harry, agrees. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Harry being Venom. I love Eddie Brock. I think he's a much more interesting character, but I think that the story would be more focused if we save Eddie for another game and make the story about Norman and his relationship with Harry. You can make this Venom anti-Venom instead if you want to make Eddie Brock that first initial Venom, you know? It's possible to fit Eddie into this game, but it'd be a bit of a disservice to the character to force him in, because then we get something sort of like Spider-Man 3, which was a bit of a disservice to the character, even though I love that movie. So, anyway, Norman, consumed with his desire to save his son, uses some experimental Oscorp tech to help him with his endeavors. He combines prototype flight equipment with handheld grenades and a serum meant to enhance strength and battlefield awareness, becoming the Goblin. The rest of the game is Venom and Goblin going after specific people in Peter and Miles' lives, hoping to torment them and break them psychologically to the point where one of them gives in and bonds to the symbiote, setting Harry free. I think this is a good way to incorporate Gwen Stacy's death. In the final fight, Gwen Stacy ends up being killed. And this loss pushes Miles to want to kill Norman, with all those feelings of anger and hate flowing through him that the symbiote feeds off of. Miles grabs hold of Norman and holds him over a ledge as the symbiote breaks its bond with Harry and slowly approaches Miles. Before Miles is able to do anything, Peter steps in and stops him from making that choice. And they collect the symbiote and Norman runs off. Norman says something about how if he goes to jail, there's going to be nobody to help Harry, and Peter makes the choice to let him free to save his friend. This angers Miles because Miles wants revenge, but Miles is too hurt and needs companionship and needs his friend more than anything. So they stand on a rooftop and Miles just hugs him and sobs into his chest as the camera fades to black and the game ends. I think this would set up a lot of intention for a third game where we get a true Green Goblin and we get, you know, possibly, you know, other characters, Fantastic Four, fucking whatever you want to do in the third game. You could set up however you like. I think that the events of this are the perfect stepping stone from what we got in the first game. I know it's not perfect. There's some stuff with, like, I didn't really talk about MJ and Yuri's, her being Wraith now and all that stuff. So if you have any ideas about how you would rewrite or pre-write or whatever the fuck you want to call this, the sequel to Spider-Man PS4, let me know in the comments. If you think that my ideas are stupid, let me know too. If you have any additions, maybe with stuff about MJ or Yuri or anybody, I would really like to hear that. But as always, thanks for watching. If you like this, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new here, maybe ring that notification bell if you want to, you know, get notified for every update that I do. But yeah, thanks for watching. This has been Troy17 coming at you live. I will see you around.